Hey everybody, Jeffrey Powers here. Welcome to episode number 2, or part 2 of the 5-part series of using Wirecast to create better shows. Set up a little bit more. As you can see, I'm not using the headset. I'm actually got the blue microphone here, which I'm using. And we're going to talk a little bit about setting up your scenes in Wirecast, and we're going to do that now. Of course, this show is brought to you by Citrix, and go over to gotoassist.com/podcast, or go to gotoassist.com, click the try free now button and choose podcast, and you can get a 30-day free trial of this great software to control people's screens, to solve their problems, and to train them, and to work a lot better in the IT field. Put it into your IT toolbox, put it into your training toolbox, because it's a great tool for trainers. Because you can, let's say somebody says, how do I use Wirecast? You can actually connect up on a Citrix Go to Assist session and then show them how to use Wirecast. So it's a great program. I use it all the time. You should get it too for a 30-day free trial. Go over to gotoassist.com/podcast. Gotoassist.com/podcast for a 30-day free trial. Hey everybody, Jeffrey Powers here, or should I go it like this? Hey everybody, Jeffrey Powers here, and that did freeze, didn't it? Oh no, it's right there. Where'd it go? How you doing? This is actually on 2 different computers. I have my main Mac here, and then I have my HP right here. So, anyway, how you doing? My name is Jeffrey Powers. Of course, you can find all this cool stuff over at Geekazine.com, www.geekazine.com. We're doing a 5-part series. If you haven't seen the first part of the 5-part series, go and check that out. It's on Wirecast. Now, like I said, I foregone the headset mic from that first episode, and I went to and started using the blue mic. This is just a blue snowball mic, which is part of my arsenal of different sound sources. It's got some advantages and some disadvantages, and right now I've got it set up so I can do this hands-free without any type of headset. And we're going to keep going. We're going to talk about different ways that you can set up your Wirecast and use the production to the best of your ability. All right, well, what we're going to do, I had to set up my other PC, my older PC. It's a little bit older. It's a dual-core machine. So you're seeing a little bit of frame rate issues here because it's also on the HP camera, and I think that's only running at 15 frames a second as opposed to 30 frames a second on here. So up in the corner here you see the Mac webcam, and over here you see the HP webcam. So, but you see the dual me right here, and I'm only doing this to show you how to set up scenes because it's a little bit difficult to do it on one computer. And I had some problems at first because I use a program called Desktop Presenter for Wirecast, which we talked about in the first episode, and that program expected to run Wirecast on this machine as opposed to this machine. And so I had to do a little bit of fidgeting, but I got it to work. As you can see, it's going back and forth. Now, when you get Wirecast, you basically come with one shot, and that's the blank shot right there. And there's nothing there. You got to add stuff. And that's where all these buttons come in up here. And it's the same. They're the same buttons that you'll see over on the Mac side. This one allows you to add all your webcams. As you can see, I have an HP webcam. I have what's called a CyberLink webcam, which is a program that lets me add stuff like little flowers and stuff like that. I don't normally use it, so I kind of just leave it off there. So I'll delete that shot. What else can I add? I can add a microphone if I decide to hook up. Let's say I decide to hook up this microphone or the snowball microphone to the other machine. I can do that. And then, of course, I can show my source settings. On the second one, this is all the documents add. I can add a video shot, I can add a picture shot, I can add a music shot, and go from here. This third one is desktop presenter shots. I could add general, I could add my MacBook Pro shot, go back and forth. But I'm not going to do that because, once again, I don't want to mess up what I've got here. But basically, what I did was I created my first one, which is just this basic webcam right here. How you doing? And which is nice and everything like that. And I'd get it nice and centered, so I'd be like this. So when I talk, I'm right in the middle of the shot. but with the logistics on this, it made it a little bit more difficult. But we'll leave it at that for now. So you're seeing me kind of off in the side for the HP shot, but the MacBook, I'm pretty much well centered. Now, this is well and good, because then I can, if I wanted to switch back and forth, like I've done before, I just switch back and forth between the main camera and between the secondary camera, the HP camera. So I could actually have a 2-shot sequence from there and do a little bit of editing so you don't see the bounding box around here. So it looks like I have 2 cameras pointed at me when it's basically 2 webcams pointed at me, which is pretty cool. And what I can also do is I can actually hook up a webcam to this laptop, and I can set it off in the far distance. As long as I'm on the same network as we talked about before, then I should be able to connect up to that and actually get that signal, which is pretty cool. I don't know which camera I should look at. Anyway, so I got this shot, and as you can see me in 2 angles here. But you want to do more than that. Let's say you want to put a lower third on. Let's say you want to put in some pictures, put in some video or something like that. This is how you do that. You basically, once you set up your main shot, you double click on the screen. That brings up this box right here. This is the editing box. And I'm going to pull that into the frame so you can see that. And basically, you now see the webcam that I've set up here. So I can do all my editing from here. Now, we'll show you. We'll basically have the main screen where you can see what's going on. You have your sources, which you add and subtract from here, and then all your scenes, all your items that you've put into Wirecast. What we have right now is just the HP webcam, as you can see, and that shows up right here. We'll talk about the special functions first, because I think that's the most important, because you'll want to do some really cool stuff with this. Like, for instance, let's say I'm not in the center, so let's say you want me in the center. Let's move me to the center. And basically what I'm doing is I'm just holding down the mouse key and I'm moving it over, and there, I'm center. Technically, I'm center, but there's nothing that way. You'll see when, well, actually, let's close this out. Now, when I do this, it pushes everything over. So now I'm centered, but I have this black line to the right of me. And you don't want to have that. So let's say you want to, okay, let's do that, but let's zoom you in. So if you hold down the Alt key, as you can see, it resizes me. Now in Mac, that's not the Alt key, it's the Command key that does the resizing. So Command and then hold down the mouse key and move, or Alt and hold down the mouse key and move. So now I can do that, and I can just position it so it shows the whole screen. I can have zoomed in, I can zoom in a lot, or I can zoom in to nothing. And I can have a lot of fun with that, playing around with that. Now, that's one of the 2 features on here. So if let's say I wanted to do multiple pictures, like for instance the small picture over here, and then the small picture over here, then I could do that. Let's say I want to tilt and angle this thing. That's where the control key comes in. And it's control key on both of them. As you can see, I'm moving, I'm flipping. I can even reverse my picture. So you can see me in a lot of different angles. So I could do this, and then I could resize it. Whoops. So now, when you go, I'll close that out, and now when I go into here, all of a sudden I've got a really angled look to myself. And it looks pretty cool. But when you have, like for instance, I have a slight angle on the top, on the Mac side here, and then I have an angle here. If I have people talking, if I've set up a scene where people are interviewing people, I can have more of a face-to-face look, which a lot of people try to go for with the bounding boxes idea. So, but anyway, so that's that. I can make my angles and stuff like that. Let's bring that back up here. Let's try and straighten this out a little bit. And there. So now we're kind of back to where I want to be. There we go. That's a lot better. So now I can actually resize this, and I can go from there. But I can also do some other options too. First of all, this option right here. will give me the options to say, hey, I want to have a full screen view of this. So if I select this, then all of a sudden A, which is camera A right now, will now be flat and full screen. Or I'm sorry, that'll be the placeholder right there. So if I go placeholder, I could go webcam. And then I could get rid of this one. And there, I'm back to normal on that. I can then go in here and I can do ABs, ABC. So these are just some simple things right here. Like for instance, if I choose ABC and I hit apply, I'm up on the top left-hand corner. A second shot could be below me, and a third shot could be over here. It could be a picture. It could be it could be whatever you choose it to be. It could be a video. It could be another person talking, so on and so forth. So you've got some really cool stuff here. We're just going to get rid of all the placeholders here, and we'll just go back to the full screen view. And so you can actually put in multiple shots, like I have right here. Like I said, the Mac cameras here and the HP cameras right here. Now let's say I want to put a lower third on. I want to find out who the heck I am. Well, I can hit the add button, and I can go into the media, and I go to this third one right here where the texts are, and you'll get a series of banners, and this will be slightly different between the Mac and the PC from what I've seen. I'm going to choose Blue Dawn, just because it's there. So I choose Blue Dawn, and all of a sudden I've got this lower banner on, which is pretty cool. So if I go back here and click on here, all of a sudden I'm talking, and there's a blue banner below me, which is kind of nice. But it's got nothing in there. I need to do something with it. So go back in here. We choose the Blue Dawn again. This time we go over to here. Well, first of all, I'm going to show you all these little buttons right here. First of all, you have the Change Media, which lets you change all the media that you want to put in there. The next one is the configuring of the visual events. We can choose to scale that blue banner, move the blue banner around, put it on the bottom, put it on the top, put it over on the side, which doesn't do that well there. We can horizontal flip it, or we could reset its position, or scale to fit. So we reset the position. The aspect ratio basically says that it doesn't, you have width and height, and not always will you have a square box. You'll have a rectangular box. If you don't want it to respect the aspect ratio, then it's going to say the height and the width are the same, and you want them both to be the same. So if I choose that, if I went to the webcam, watch this. If I unchoose the respect aspect ratio, as you can see, now I'm full screen. I'm actually across the screen. And if I put it back there, I'm more on the 4:3 screen there, which is perfectly fine. So we have the configure visual effects. That's where you configure all those visual effects right there. You have the configure cropping. So I can manually crop this. Like for instance, let's say there's too much on the right side there. So I'm going to manually move it so I'm more in the center. And then I can move this over, and then technically I could go back here and say respect and remove the respect out of there, and go from there. But right now I'm perfectly center to the screen. Next thing you have is the configure text, and of course that's grayed out right now because of the fact I'm moving around my webcam. But if I move over to Blue Dawn, all of a sudden I have 4 lines of text I can put in. So I can put in Jeffrey Powers. And in line 2, www.geekazine.com. And in line 3, hello world. And there might not be a line 4, but yeah, it's all set up. The banners are very customizable. You can actually create your own banners out of it, and as you saw with mine. And then when you do that, you got to change configurations. You can have 1 line, 2 lines, 3 lines, 4 lines, so on and so forth. So basically I have a lower third here, and I have my picture here. And that's in the text area. I can change the font of the picture. I can change the justification. I can change the color. But we'll leave that at that. You get the idea of what's going on there. Next one is the Chroma key. Now this, we'll go back to the webcam for a second here. We can use Chroma key to take out a certain color. Now I don't have any green behind me, but if I was to do a green screen, I would put the chroma key to green, and of course I wouldn't wear any green on me, and then I could turn around and I could actually cut out the background to put in a different background. Like, let's say I'm walking down the streets of Paris or something like that. So of course when you do a chroma key, you want to have sufficient lighting, and with minimal shadowing, and to make the effect work a lot better. So, and of course you can choose different colors. Like, for instance, I can choose this, and all of a sudden, hey, look, my shirt's gone. And then, of course, I put another picture in the background, and you can see that from there. So I'm Zombie Man. Anyway, so that's the chroma key feature. We go over here. We have how we want this all to slide in, slide out, and then basically, it's not the scene that's sliding in and sliding out. It's the source that's sliding in and sliding out. So I can actually say from this webcam, I could go from top, and I could spin in. So the blue dawn will fade in, but the webcam will actually spin in. And then finally, we've got this. This is basically your live playback. When you have video on there, you've got to go in here and set things. Like, for instance, let's say you only want like 5 seconds of a video that you did. I could put in a video really quick, but the bottom line is, let's do that really quick. So I add a piece of media, and we'll put it down. That's what these buttons down here are for. You have the plus to add, minus to remove, as you can see. So we add, and then you have up and down, where you want it in there. Because, of course, if you put it in front and behind, like, for instance, I'll put it behind, so the webcam will be in front of the video. So now I'll go over to my video options, and I have an old episode of Geekazine weekly podcast, and I'll say remove the aspect ratio. Now I'll go back over here, and I'll say, and I've got different options. The first option, if this is a camera of some sort, I would be able to say, do I want to use that microphone off of that camera? In this case, I don't, so I want to turn it off. It doesn't matter if you don't have a microphone on there, then it won't do that. But if you have like a DV camera, then you want to turn that off, or otherwise it might be filtering through that DV camera's mic. So anyway, we can adjust the sound levels. So let's say the audio for the video in there is way too high. I can adjust that to bring it down here. I can start it at a certain point, where I can move it here. As you can see, there's some of the stuff for Geek Smack right behind me, and I can start it. I can have a start point and a stop point. So I can start it right here, and I can set that to that point, and then an out point right here, and I can set that there. So that means it'll start at 3 minutes 23 seconds, and it'll end at 41 minutes 47 seconds. Now when I'm finished, I can choose to do different options. It's automatically set to default to loop, which means that it will automatically restart the video. You can choose it to hold or remove. I choose to hold, but what you can do is you can actually have a video running and then have it remove itself, and then behind it you'd have a layer like maybe a webcam or something like that to see yourself. So it's great for trying to automate some of your visuals there. So I set it to hold, and then we have a couple different different checkboxes here. First one says begin playing when media becomes live, which means when you click on the scene, do you want that media to all of a sudden start to play, or do you want it to wait till you click a button? I always have it checked, but you can uncheck it there. The other one is remember position, even not when live. I usually uncheck that, and what that is when you click on that scene, it'll start from the beginning. If you have that box checked and you click off of the scene and then click back onto the scene, then it will continue where you left off. If you uncheck the box, then it'll start from the beginning. And that's what I want the video to do, is I want the video to start from the beginning every single time. So anyway, we set up our live playback. Now that's in our background, and I'm going to move that up a little bit so it's kind of center there, because this was a letterbox situation here. So now I have my webcam. I now have my lower third set up in this video. And I could do more. There's one more thing that you have to add, and we're not going to add it. We'll just add it virtually. and that is you want to add where your audio source is. If you don't add the audio source, you will get absolutely no sound. That's very important. You want sound off of your videos. So we would say, okay, I want that microphone, but of course I don't want that noise to be in there, so I'm going to remove that. I'm not going to put that in there, and then go from there. And then we could actually add more. You can do several different sources. Of course, every time you do a source, it's going to take up process. So if your computer is super powerful and can handle it, do it. But if you're running something, this machine, I would probably do I would do minimal stuff. Even though it is a dual core machine, it's still not the best process in the world, best graphics in the world. So anyway, so now I close this and I save to my configuration file. So when I open this up, you now hear my video in the background from the Geek Smack show. You see me talking in the foreground, and of course you have that lower third right there. Now, what I would normally do at this point is I would probably just mute out that audio, which I'll do the right there. So now I can do that, and so I can switch between here and I can switch over here. Now the cool part about this, you remember that checkbox that said remember where it was live? If I wanted to, I could set it up where all of a sudden this is playing and I said, okay, there's a point where I want to cut in and talk for a minute about this. So then I'd click over here, and as you can see, it just spun me in there. But it would remember exactly where it was and switch over between scenes, which is pretty cool. I want to show that spin again because I forgot we did that. And there's my spin in. Is that amazing or what? So, and of course, like I said, you can do a whole bunch of different things. You can change the speed on it, so on and so forth. So now we've added a camera shot. We've added a lower third. We've added video. And can we add a lot more? Well, yeah, we can add tons more. I'm going to show you one more thing here. And this is what I normally do. And I think I have this stuff over on this item, on this computer here. Hopefully I do. Maybe I don't. It was and if I don't, then I'll show you on my next one. Actually, I don't think I do. So I could put, we'll do one more thing, and that's we'll put pictures in. We'll put in a quick picture as the camera's acting kind of funny there. I apologize for that. So let's say instead of the webcam, I want to do a background. So I'll copy over my background. I gotta put it in the right area. And now, instead of the video, I could put the background, and I could set the aspect ratio on there. Now another thing I could do is I could actually do webcam over webcam. Watch this. And I've done this on my show before. You see that a lot. When I do this, all of a sudden my webcam is back there, and I can bring it up like this, move it down a little bit, and then one more thing here is up on in the configure visual effects, you have an opacity option. So I can change that opacity down to 43%. So now, when you click on this, you see me, and there's my hand. As you can see, it's flipping back and forth between two webcam shots. So if you have a 4:3 video, this is perfect because this is what media does to kind of fill in those side walls there with either this, they'll either blur it out even more or darken it up even more. You've got some many options here. Now on the PC side, there's you're missing one button than you are on the Mac side, and let me show you that button. As I remembered it, I forgot to do that here. So, but anyway, there's one more button in the visual effects area, and that is this button right here. On the Mac side, this is a filter button where you can actually add in different colors, different controls. You can say, hey, I want, let's do Gaussian blur. All of a sudden, everything's blurred out in the screen. So when I close that out and go back in here, poof, I've got a completely blurred screen. So you can use that in the background, and then of course I can then turn around and I can take a second shot, put that in here, and then take it and shrink it down and put it right in the middle of the screen. So now when I do this, here I am with my screen in the background, and it looks kind of blurred, and it's kind of cool effect to it. And of course I can change all the effects there. I can change the foreground effect. With the PC that doesn't happen. You need to have a third-party program to do any type of adjustments like that. But that's basically it in the nutshell. This is how you create different video. Now, since I'm here, I'll show you this one right here. You wonder how the lower third goes. Well, what I'll do is I'll duplicate that blurry shot, and I'll bring it back in. And then, of course, I'll remove my face, and then I'll unblur this by going back over to Filters and remove the Gaussian blur. There we go. Now we're all cleared up. Now, I have a lower third, which I'll add right here, and then I'll go back over to the files. And this is a video. And I'll show you my Blog World title, because that works a little bit better. Now I have Blog World in there. I'll say I don't want it to respect aspect ratio because I want it to encompass the full screen. Now it's got a blue area with a... Oh, you're not seeing that. Apologize. Effect result will be this. And so now you can see the screen, and of course there's a lower third right there. Well, how did I do that? Well, simply, I opened up the screen, and then I went over to the file, which is an MP4, one I created, and then I go over to the Configure Chroma key, and I choose Use Chroma key. And instantly, you'll either figure it's either blue or green, one of the two primary chroma keys, and then it will take it out. Now, if I wanted the blue to go out here, I could say, I want to pick the color with the mouse, and I'm going to choose the blue. And all of a sudden, it's the exact opposite. But I want the green, so I'm going to choose there. Now, sometimes it doesn't always go in, so that's what the key threshold, the black clip, and the white clip are all about. You want to adjust these so you can turn around, so some of this stuff bleeds through. As you can see, the Blog World didn't exactly, there was a little bit of green in there, so it got taken out along with the rest of the green screen. So I can try and manipulate that back in by using the key threshold. As you can see, that changes that. The black clip, which is the dark colors, and set that there, and of course the white clip. Then again, you try and you try to put it all together, and it just doesn't go 100%. And you have to go back to a drawing board and get that going. But the bottom line is, you can end up with a bottom third that's running across, like the Blog World clip, or of course my video clip right here. And that's it. That's configuring a main scene to put in a lower third, to put in more items, and get that going from there. Part 3, we're going to talk a little bit more, and we're going to get more into the putting together windows, putting together scenes, getting hooked up, and talking to people on whether it be live one-on-one conversations, or through a Skype connection, or through another type of connection. And we'll be doing that in part 3. I hope you liked it. My name is Jeffrey Powers. If you have any questions, feel free to Twitter me over at Geekazine, right there. Geekazine@gmail.com is my email address. And of course, you go over to Geekazine.com and you'll get all that information right there. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks a lot for listening. We will see you on part 3. Remember to watch part 1 to catch up on what you missed there. So for Geekazine.com, my name is Jeffrey Powers, and we will see you next time. Take care.